But then you can ground, which is share your perspective and sit there and say like, hey, look, you know what I value is being better for myself. I value martial arts. I value it because it disciplines my mind and all these reasons. But you know what I like is when I can exchange with somebody on that level. And I guess a better question, here's the challenge, rather than asking you what is you value, like how do you live your life that reflects your beliefs? Now, she may or may not answer that question because it's still deep. But either way, guess what? Your identity is the most important thing here. Your technique is a slave to your identity, to the types of women that you want, and then feeds back into it. Kind of makes sense? Yeah? Oh, just kind of, huh? Does it really make sense? Hey, we got to move on because we're running out of time. They only give me 55 minutes. Yeah. Plenty of time.
Hi.
Yes, sir.
I've been thinking like recently, when you get to like a good stage of pickup, you know, you've met a lot of beautiful women, you know, you've dated them, you've seduced them, and, you know, I've got to a stage where I find myself like walking down the street and I'll use the excuse that I've met a more beautiful woman than that one to not go over and speak to her. Have you ever been in that kind of position?
Why do you need to approach somebody? Like, see, this is the thing, is like if you're defining yourself by pickup alone, you have to approach, right? So if I say this, whoops. So I say self-expression, I turn it into that. So let's say like opening, anyway, I'm putting myself out there as a form of self-expression. Now guess what happens? I have some experience with women, man. I've dated really hot women. And you know what? I'll tell you this. I value connection. I value sex with somebody. I value intimacy. And I've had that with hot women, but I've also had the complete negation of those things with the most attractive women that I've had relationships with, or even if they're just quick fly-by-night relationships. And what happens is when I express myself, especially if I need attention, if I'm chasing something, I want to validate something, guess what happens to that self-expression? Through experience of interacting with women, I achieve this. Self-exploration. That means I explore who I am, man. When I'm interacting with this beautiful thing called seduction and this beautiful thing called life, fuck, I change as a freaking human being, man. It's beautiful, you know? But I learn about what I'm insecure about, what makes me angry, what makes me jealous, what makes me sad, all that sort of stuff. And through self-exploration, then I can find this other thing, self-acceptance. Now, you might be thinking, geez, this is way too internal. Guess what, man? If you are living this sort of lifestyle with women and having sex on these levels and interacting on these levels, you're going to come to some shit which you didn't know was there. And you're going to have to look at it and internalize it and learn to accept it. And guess what happens? And this is actually interesting, man. One of my good friends, in fact, one of the coolest guys that I talked to, he actually said this. He said, man, and I'll tell you who it is afterwards. He says, look, if you have the skill set to fuck a chick in a night and bang a bunch of bitches and do whatever, and he's like, I've done it, man. I've been the best in the world. And but if you don't learn how to get what you like, get a life that you love, to get a real life, then it's pointless. You are on the same field as that person who can't approach a woman. Like, why have you done it? In fact, you're worse because you haven't grown. You haven't let this thing influence you. That guy's name is Eric Von Sydow, AKA Hypnotica, and definitely an awesome dude, and one of the guys that I really like look up to about a bunch of stuff. When I was coming up with this process, I always felt bad, like that people wouldn't get what I mean by that. But dude, going up and approaching women, she's hot, what the fuck? My partner, Janelle, who I work with, who is, if you ever get a chance to work with us live, I mean, she'll change your fucking life. But she's like, hot chick, what does that mean? You know, what does that mean? If you are only looking at a woman for her physical traits, don't get me wrong, you should. You absolutely should, man. Follow your urges, follow your sexual urges. But if you're only looking at those things, then you're not looking at yourself. You're disrespecting the potential of what you could have with any woman. You're disrespecting the potential of what you really value. I'm not like coming down on you in any way. I'm just saying open your mind to the possibilities of so much more. you know? So don't beat yourself up if you don't approach a girl. Like, shit, man, beat yourself up if you let a beautiful opportunity slip through your hands, but you gotta know how to cultivate those opportunities. I think the best ways to connect are sexually and emotionally. And sexually can happen very quick, and it can happen very raw, you know? And I would say learn some techniques towards that, and or learn some techniques to build bridges with people emotionally. And those are the things that stick, man. You know, routine, entertainment, all that stuff, that almost conflicts with emotion and sex. You know, we can't be in that state of being. It gets entertainment, it gets attention, but I would focus on what it is you really want, what validates you, what makes you feel like you're the best possible man you can be, what makes me feel that I have like an amazing sense of sexuality, an amazing like window of what women are noticing. You know, I got to put that stuff out there. I got to assert myself in that way.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, cool?
Yeah, that's
Cool. All right.
Hi. Oftentimes I use alcohol as an anchor in game. How do you overcome that?
Well, I stopped drinking. You know, I'll tell you this, dude. This is a funny story. So most of you guys, it's so funny because I'm like out of date. Like when I started in pickup, I didn't drink, right? And so I was pretty good. I was like pretty tenacious. And the two guys that I would go out with, who are somewhat legendary, is Captain Jack, and still to this day, man, I've never seen anybody do what he did. In fact, I'm in contact with, like, we're talking about a bunch of stuff. But, like, I mean, he would go up to a girl, passively talk to her for 15 minutes, and he would leave with her. I mean, it was so clean. It was like, it was so unreal. It was unreal. And then there was Sinn, who was this really aggressive, you know, do this, that, you get laid. And he still kind of promotes that message. But they were like, man, you don't drink. And I'm like, dude, when I drink, I'm crazy. Then I started to drink, and then I went like nuts. I could open better, I could be crazier, do more brazen things, but I couldn't get that level of intimacy as well. Now, I'm not saying you can't. Some people totally can. But for me, it like conflicted with that. The thing is that we had this competition way back when, like in 2007, who would be the best pickup artist in the world, and I fucking won that motherfucker. But you know what? It was like the most miserable time of my life. Like we had a lay competition, all that sort of stuff, and it was like highly publicized, and that's kind of how I like became known about stuff. But man, it's a tough thing. You're the person who's gonna have to decide where or when that stops. But I think the window to that, again, when you're going through that triangle, it's like, look at your identity, man. What do you like? One of the best questions anybody can ask themselves is, what am I attracted to? What am I attracted to physically? What am I attracted to emotionally? What am I attracted to morally? All right? It's important shit. Then, what's attractive about me? What do I want a girl to notice?